Among the most salient, though, in this particular language feature was social class. Bishop chose to work in journalism, and she defined that in contrast to blue-collar work. In another part of the interview, she said she would not have made a good Rosie the Riveter. But let's turn to Chavez Thompson, who, as a native of Lubbock, described herself as a sharecropper's daughter. Indeed, she started that way before becoming a labor union worker and then union representative, a manager of a local in San Antonio, and so on to the national level. Chavez Thompson, for socioeconomic reasons, didn't have access to higher education as an aid to achieving authority or gaining entry into a professional or managerial position. Chavez Thompson, like Bishop, though, identified strongly and positively with Texas, but she interpreted its meaning differently. Whereas for Bishop, Texas identity is associated with directness in discourse and freshness of outdoors, Chavez Thompson connects it with freedom of opportunities for minorities and working people. When she was asked, what are you proud of in Texas or San Antonio, she said, I think Texas and I think San Antonio has been good to me because I think I am where I am today. I think I'm making a difference in people's lives and doing some things that I actually get paid to do what I enjoy doing, and it'll never make me rich, she laughed. It has made me somewhat powerful politically, and if it gets me recognition, for me, i.e. the union, she said, it puts us in a better position where they don't mess with the folks that I represent. She also added that she felt there were greater obstacles for women and Hispanics outside of Texas. Like Bishop, Chavez Thompson was aware of the linguistic stereotype for Southern women. We asked her if she considered herself one. She said, no, I don't know why, I guess I am, but not really. I've got a picture of one, someone who doesn't cuss, she laughed. Someone who's not a union leader, she laughed again. She laughed 50-something times in this interview. She had a very lively sense of humor. Someone who is in the background and does social events and is interested in those kinds of things. And that certainly doesn't fit me. So even though I'm a Southern woman, I've never had time for that. In describing herself and her development, Chavez Thompson indicated her distance from notions of women confined to the background, with recurring comments about attracting publicity and representing her work as being beyond some unidentified boundaries. She frankly enjoyed the rewards of public attention, and she described her work and her activism as being, quote, out there. She elaborated her sense of having crossed gender boundaries to work actively in politics and in the unions, and contrasted it with a required passivity in an early position as a secretary. She then referred to herself as a black sheep, and we asked her why she characterized herself that way. She said, well, because I was working in the Ralph Yarborough campaign in 1968, I was always out there with bumper stickers on my car for this candidate or the other candidate. I'm always on the phone bank. I'm always out there, passing out handbills or supporting this and that. And then, of course, once I got into the union business, once I started on that, hey, I was having a field day because it was just my kind of work, because I love to be out there, doing this. And it really started back in 1970 when I wasn't as active because I was a secretary for a labor union. And there's only so much you can do. And then you have to keep your mouth shut and type the letters, and that's it. By the way, the way she got her break was there was a tornado or a disaster, and she was obviously bilingual, and they needed somebody bilingual on the scene. So she was invited to get out from behind the desk and get out and work in the field. Characterizations of herself as a black sheep and repetition of the phrase out there demonstrates her awareness of boundaries crossed. Her narratives indicate that being out there is both exciting and hazardous, an arena of struggle and battle which she intends to hold her own at the very least. References to battle, struggle, and fighting appeared throughout her discourse. Danger involved in her work is revealed through a discussion of her mother's concern for her safety as a woman in the days when she was actively organizing unions. She recalled that her mother would ask her whether she should be doing what she was as a woman, to which she replied, well, why not? She continued saying, it was basically just, having to battle the fact that I'm a woman. Because of the work she had chosen, Chavez Thompson situated herself in opposition to received notions of womanhood. These definitions were barriers to be overcome, and thus womanhood and gender were negatively defined for her. I wish you could have seen her. I should have brought a picture. She had long black hair, pretty dress, fingernail polish, makeup, a lively smile, and in every way you can think of, a very feminine appearance. Negotiating that identity was a big chore for her. She, as I said, began as a secretary and worked her way up. Like Bishop, Chavez Thompson relied on skills and self-confidence to get respect in the male-dominated world. Chavez Thompson differed from Bishop, though, on the issue of using strong language. One of the most enduring expectations, as I've said, for women's language has been the avoidance of profanity, speech feature associated with male or working class speech. The passage below demonstrates that Chavez Thompson is aware of those associations, and one way she uses it is to intensify and express strong emotion, usually anger. In the few instances of mild profanity found in the interview, each was an example of situational speech she recalled and was marked by some framing remarks and usually laughter. There were no instances where she used it as part of her regular conversation. For her, strong language was an expression of emotional intensity associated with strength of commitment to a position. She was talking about how did she escape from the male-dominated aspect of her work. She said it was a long time before people of that mentality treated me differently than as a secretary. And we asked how did she change their minds. She said, I just basically, and she kind of paused and looked around because I took a don't give a shit attitude. I mean, that's putting it simply because I knew my capabilities. I knew what I could do. As scholars have noted, the use of strong language or profanity can be interpreted as a mark of solidarity with the working class rather than like an index for youthfulness or liveliness or nonconformity, as Mills and others have noted. In addition, it may be a feature associated with the exercise of power. Her approach is similar actually to that of Molly Ivins, if you know her, who's a Texas journalist. Whereas Bishop's notion of strength was the ability to control emotions and get things done within established procedures, Chavez defined strength as the willingness to speak up, to protest, to fight for one's right, and battle the established power structures out there in the public arena. We talked about, specifically about the use of strong language, it was her term, in combating gender stereotypes. When dealing with union officials, she had to overcome stereotypes associated with powerless women, or the mousy secretary in her terms. Strong language and expression of strong emotions support her effort to combat the stereotypical link of woman to powerlessness. Her particular profession also influences her options. In their roles as advocates and leaders, union officials have been allowed greater latitude in strategic expression of emotion. She reveals her motivation for using strong language when she says, well, occasionally a city manager or a department head thinks that because I'm a woman, they're going to be able to walk all over me. Or because I'm a woman, I don't know how to take them on.